Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do here at the Red Cross?
Okay, my name is Elaine Clyburn, and I've been a Red Cross person for 43 years this year, and I started my career with the Red Cross as a paid staff person, and I did that for a few years, and then I left to pursue other interests, and the Red Cross said, you may be gone but not forgotten. You can become a leadership volunteer. And so for the next 17 or 18 years after that, I was a leadership volunteer in lots of different opportunities. And then one day the phone rang, and it was someone that I had known in the Red Cross for a while who said, a lot of things have changed, a lot of new programs, a lot of new opportunities. Would you be interested in coming back to be considered for a paid staff position? And so I said, okay, and that person helped me sort out some opportunities that were available, and eventually there was one that seemed to be a good fit for me, and so I interviewed, was hired, and stayed on as paid staff for a number of years, and then about 5 years ago had an opportunity to retire, and they said the same thing. You may be out of sight but not out of mind. And so a lot of the things that I'm doing now as a volunteer, I was doing as paid staff. And the difference is I still have the same set of responsibilities, but I have an opportunity to say, maybe not this time, or maybe not today.
What's maybe in more recent years, because I know that you would have many memorable events in your career, but in more recent years here in this area, what are some of the more memorable events or things that come to your mind as particularly rewarding or memorable?
Well, in 2010, of course, we had the Tennessee floods, which affected probably 2/3 or so of the counties in Tennessee eventually. Our disaster operations headquarters was in Nashville, but we had satellite offices and satellite operations going on throughout the state, and we are one Red Cross. And so just as people in Tennessee and the Red Cross go to other communities to help when something happens, when something happens here, people come from other places. Mm-hmm. And so we had over 1,400 volunteers at one point, from many of them from Tennessee, in fact the majority of them from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But if someone were to ask me of all the people that I was responsible for, because I was the relief operation director, someone might ask, well, how many volunteers do you have? How many paid staff do you have? And certainly we registered people with what their affiliation was, and I could tell you how many. But if you pointed to an individual that perhaps I didn't know personally and asked me that question, is that person a volunteer or paid? I'd say, we're all volunteers. We could all be someplace else doing something else.
In charge of disaster preparedness in our local region, what are some of the major challenges here in the Memphis area?
Well, I think the major challenge in any kind of bad news, in any kind of opportunity to try to educate people or to help people understand that, yes, there are events that could occur, whether those are natural or whether those are caused by somebody who wants to make your life miserable, that you don't have to be afraid, that being prepared is not being forced upon you in order to scare you or to make you feel that you are helpless, that it's just the opposite, that the more you know what those risks are, the more you know. For example, a simple thing like having a plan with your family of sitting down and saying, if you can't reach me on the phone, or if you can't get to the house, or if you're somewhere and a storm comes up, here's what's going to happen, or here's what you can count on. If you walk into the house and the power is out, where is the flashlight? If there's some kind of storm and the windows are broken and there's glass on the floor in the bedroom, do I know that if I swing out of my bed that my shoes or my slippers are by the bed and so I'm not stepping on the glass? Simple little things like that.
Yeah. So, anything that we have not touched upon that you would like to share?
I think it's important for people to who want to give or who want to participate in some fashion to at least explore the opportunities, explore what's out there. Don't assume that you're too young or you're too old or that it costs too much or it doesn't fit your particular situation or what have you. There are many, many ways that people can contribute and receive some satisfaction out of that, and know that we have a saying, we don't pay or we don't decline to pay volunteers because they're useless. We don't attempt to pay them because they're priceless.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Elaine.
Thank you.